Welcome to the Librarian's Midnight Library. I'm your librarian, and the world has finally gone quiet enough for a story. Today, we step into the glowing infinite halls of the Celestial Gallery to uncover a tale of magic. Take a deep breath, leave the world behind, and let's begin. In the city of Oakhaven, the sky had been silent for 100 years. A thick copper-colored smoke sat over the rooftop like a heavy wool blanket, looking out the stars until the people forgot they had ever existed. Children were born believing the night sky was merely a canvas of flat, empty black. Leo was a clockmaker by trade, a man who understood the mechanical ticking of the world, but felt a strange ache for something he couldn't name. One evening, while chasing a runaway hare behind his workbench, he found a door. It was a small circular and painted a blue so deep it seemed to pull the light out of the room. Beyond the door lay the Museum of Lost Constellations. It wasn't a building made of brick and mortar. It was a cathedral of glass and gravity. Thousands of jars sat on shelves made of frozen moonlight. Each jar contained a swirling, sparkling mist, a captured piece of the night sky that had been stolen away before the smoke could claim it. In the center of the hall stood a man whose coat seemed to be made of shifting nebulas. He was the curator of the void. You look like a man who has forgotten how to look up, the curator said, his voice sounding like the chime of a silver bell. I didn't know there was anything to see, Leo whispered, his eyes darting from jar to jar. He saw the great bear pacing in a bottle of violet gas. He saw the archer aiming a bow of pure white light in a crystal decanter. The stars did not leave you, the curator explained. They were simply stored for their own protection. But stars are not meant for glass, Leo. They are meant for the dark. The curator handed Leo a heavy iron bound jar. It was unlabeled, but the light inside was a fierce, pulsing gold. This is the constellation of the great librarian. It holds the stories of every soul who ever looked at the sky and wondered. It is the heaviest jar in the museum, and tonight it is yours to hold. Leo took the jar home. He placed it on his balcony, looking out at the dull copper smoke of the city. He remembered the curator's warning. A star in a room is a dangerous guest. But Leo's curiosity was a gear he couldn't stop from turning. He unscrewed the lid. At first, there was only a hiss, like the sound of a falling snowflake. Then a pillar of liquid gold erupted from the jar. It didn't go up into the sky. It hit the ceiling of Leo's apartment and spread like spilled ink. His walls dissolved into dust. His floor became a carpet of nebula gas. Leo found himself floating in his living room, but the room was now a galaxy. Books from his shelves began to drift upward, and their pages opening like birds' wings. As the starlight touched the paper, the words flew off the pages and became tiny flickering comets. The great librarian appeared in the center of the room, not a person, but a giant silhouette made of a billion suns. It reached out a hand made of stardust and touched Leo's forehead. In that moment, Leo saw everything. He saw the birth of the first word, he saw the death of the last son. He felt the weight of every story ever written, vibrating through his veins like a cosmic heartbeat. But the city was not ready for the light. Below his balcony, people began to scream. They were terrified of the golden fire in the sky. The smoke began to hiss as the starlight burned through it. Leo realized that the stars couldn't just be released, they had to be earned. If he let the jar stay open, the light would burn the city to ash. If he closed it, the stars would stay in the dark forever. He looked at the great librarian. The entity smiled, a slow supernova glow, and whispered, "A story shared is a star reborn." Leo didn't close the jar. Instead, he grabbed his clockmaker's tools. He began to take the stars apart, piece by tiny piece. He worked through the night, his hands moving with the grace of a god. He didn't put them back in the jar, he put them into the clocks. By dawn, every clock in Oak Haven had a tiny microscopic fragment of a star inside its gears. Now, when the clocks of the city strike midnight, for one single second, the smoke vanishes. For one heartbeat, every person in Oak Haven looks up and sees the infinite, sparkling truth of the universe. They see the gold, the violet, and the deep, deep blue. And then the tick of the clock continues. The smoke returns and the city goes back to sleep. But they remember, and in the librarian's midnight library, a new jar appeared on the shelf labeled the Clockmaker of Oak Heaven. The stars are tucked away and the sky is silent once more. Thank you for visiting the Celestial Gallery here at the Librarian's Midnight Library. If you found a spark of light in the darkness tonight, please subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me, if you could name a star, what would it be? I'm your librarian and I will be waiting for you at the next midnight. Stay curious and sleep well.